Madam. Thank you.
Good evening. We will now call to order the Human Relations Commission of Asheville meeting. I would like to start with our mission. The purpose of the Human Relations Commission of Asheville is to promote and improve human relations and to achieve equity among all citizens in the city by carrying out the city's human relations program. The HRCA will prioritize racial equity and will work with city government and partner, city government and partner with communities and outside agencies in an effort to encourage and ensure diversity, fairness, equity, and inclusion throughout the city. In furtherance thereof, the HRCA should endeavor to identify and assist in addressing all forms of individual, institutional, and community discrimination throughout education, advocacy, and policy recommendations. We will now do our land acknowledgements and welcome members, staff, and public. We are coming to you live from the Cherokee homelands, where the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians remain a sovereign nation to this day. We will now call our meeting to order. Okay. We make policy recommendations to the City Council which promote and improve human relations and advance equity in the city. Second, we support the city's Office of Equity and Inclusion. 3, provide a forum where residents can raise issues and complaints related to human relations in the city. Engage in the community regarding the utilization of city-funded programs and policies for the promotion of human relations. And 5, promote and improve human relations and advance equity in the following areas: public safety, educational, art and cultural opportunities, economic development, health and human services, and housing. We, the committee members and staff are participating virtually, and we are streaming live on a virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city's website, and also linked to the committee page. We also have an option for public to listen live by phone by dialing 855-925-2801 and entering the meeting code 9723. We will now review the group agreements. We are understanding a group norm and to ensure everyone participating feels heard and valued in the meeting. We will review the group agreements, which were created based on boards and commissions ethics policy. Be civil and courteous. Be respectful of differing opinions. Be present. No personal attacks. Remember the acronym WAIT, which stands for Why Am I Talking? Or Why Aren't I Talking? Pursue the common good. Respect and honor the majority decision. Be fair and impartial with votes and discussion, and adhere to the ethics policy. We will now follow along. I will state each section of the agenda aloud. Again, I ask committee members to raise your hand and be recognized to speak. Please state your name each time you comment. Just a reminder that the public is listening on the phone, and this keeps them up to date on the order of the meeting and who is commenting or speaking. Now, we will acknowledge a quorum. A quorum for this commission is 5 attending. If no quorum is present, we will proceed with other matters that do not need a vote. And as what I'm seeing is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there seems to be 2 others. One's a J. I'm not sure who that is.
That's Commissioner Mall.
Okay, cool. So he is present. So we have.
I would do a roll call, Ms.
Yes.
Chair Atkins.
Yes. One moment, please forgive me. I've got to get my roll. Okay. Alma Atkins, the chair, and signify by saying aye. Daniel Young, vice chair. Harvey Dean Harold.
Aye.
Crystal Michelle Reed, absent. Enwayna Smith.
Aye.
John Mal.
Aye.
And Bethany Vance, absent. It appears we do have a 5-member quorum. So now we will hear from our city staff members on the Equity and Inclusion Liaison, Salah Minya Merritt.
I love how y'all butcher my name.
I know.
Salamanaya Merritt, City of Asheville, Equity and Inclusion Director, the liaison for the HRCA. The only update that I have for you all today is with regards to the Reparations Commission. They went before council last month to request an extension. That extension was approved, and they have an extension through February of 2025 to be able to complete some of the work that they would like to do, which includes being able to start or complete the tasks that they need to start a 501c3, as well as complete some work to look at starting a Black Chamber of Commerce. I would like to add that our next meeting, which is in November, will also be virtual. Just wanted to remind you all, I shared that with you last month, but November's meeting will be virtual. As today I'm in Boston and I will be in Chicago on that day. So we will have the November meeting, but it will be virtual. And that's all the updates that I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I do need to back up a bit and get the approval of the August 22nd meeting, special called meeting. Do we have, I move that we approve the minutes as provided and written. Can I get a? Can I get a second?
I second. Commissioner Harrell.
Okay. We have we have an initial and a second. Now, are we all in favor by saying aye?
You need to do a roll call, Madam Chair. Oh, virtual.
Oh, okay. Okay. Excuse me. Alma Atkins, aye. Daniel Young. Harvey Dean Harold.
Aye.
Enwena Smith.
Aye.
John Malley.
Aye.
Thank you. So it's moved that we approve the minutes from the August 22nd special called meeting. We're going to move right on into unfinished business and look at key actions.
Madam Chair, if I could just interrupt for just a moment. So I know that there were a couple individuals who were not at the last meeting when we talked about the key actions and we did the debrief from the retreat.
Yes.
And so I'm not sure if we want to be able to revisit that. I know that Commissioner Reed asked that Councilwoman Roney be able to provide the update, but neither of them were able to attend the meeting. So I don't know if we want to, if you just want to put that on pause and do it at the next meeting, or if you want to move forward with discussing that. And I'll leave that to you all. I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, I think in light of the fact that neither Commissioner Reed or Councilwoman Rooney is here, we will need to move that to next month's meeting.
And is the rest of the commission okay with that?
And I'll do a roll call. Alma Atkins. Aye. Daniel Young. Harvey Dean Harold.
Aye.
Enwena Smith.
Aye.
And John Malley.
Aye.
So we will move that to next month's meeting actions. The next is if work groups. I'm not sure if we will intelligibly be able to speak on this tonight without being able to do some kind of reviewing and going back over the key action that we were wanting to talk about from the retreat. So Selma doesn't know how
I would say that all of that falls together because that was part of the conversation as well. There was a change, a recommendation in the change of the work groups at the retreat.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
For keeping me on track. I appreciate it.
I'm trying.
Well, now we're going to move into the new business. And we have a presentation this evening from Ms. Sasha It's
okay. Vertunsky,
the city of Asheville on affordable housing officer. And Ms. Sasha, you have 20 minutes to discuss. So we will listen intently and we will respond with questions as needed.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chairwoman, Ms. Alma, sorry. Yes, my name is Sasha Vertunsky. I'm the Affordable Housing Officer, and I will share my screen.
Can you see me? I think I'm sharing. Am I not?
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, I thought I was sharing. Okay.
I can do it too. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. That way I don't have to bug you about.
Next slide, please.
Yeah. um, okay. Well, thanks for having me.
Yes.
I'm going to try to, and I'm going to adjust my screen so that I can see you. Oh, actually, I know what I know. I can. That's right. I can see you all now. Okay. Thanks for having me. I'm going to try to keep this at a pretty high level and then let your questions guide the discussion, because there's a lot that the city is doing in the housing area, but I don't want to bore you and get into the weeds too far. So thanks for having me. So just some of the things we'll go over is just a little bit of data about housing in Asheville, what the city's role is in affordable housing, what are the funding sources we're using, a little bit about the affordable housing bond, the one that we did in 2016. We have a brand new affordable housing plan, and then kind of what are the next steps that we're looking forward to. So I'm not going to cover all the data about housing, but do want to just start with, and maybe we all feel this living here. We are gaining residents all the time here in Asheville, and we are projected to gain 30,000 new residents in the city of Asheville by 2050. For Buncombe County, it's something like 86,000 folks. So not quite half of those people would be in the city. And the projections we have is for those residents would be in about almost 14,000 households. So you can almost think of it as like we will need 14,000 more units than we have today within the city to accommodate that growth. And a lot of that growth is in migration, right? So this is a chart, and I won't, but basically it's showing that our housing production has slowed down since 2007. We all remember the recession that hit in 2008, and that really disrupted housing being built. And right now, our growth is outpacing the housing production. So with that scarcity, with less units available for more people, it drives up rent. So rents are going up even higher and higher. It's harder to find, and either for rent or for home ownership prices. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit right now. I'm a part of the Community and Economic Development Department. We have 4 divisions, and 3 of those focus on housing or homelessness in some kind of way. So Community Development Division focuses on federal funding that we get from the federal government. My division, Affordable Housing, focuses on local funds for affordable housing. So general fund, meaning tax dollars. We have a housing trust fund that we've had since 2001. And if we have a bond, so those kinds of funds. We have a houseless or homeless strategies division, and they are working very hard with the continuum of care to reduce and eliminate homelessness over time. And then lastly, we have equitable economic development, and they do a lot of different things, but business inclusion, Asheville Business Inclusion Program, you might be familiar with, the CALA program, and the strategic partnership grants. A lot of folks know those pieces. Mm-hmm. So just really quickly, what my division does is we provide funds to developers to build affordable units. We do not run units ourselves. The city does not own any housing units. We are providing that kind of extra funds. We don't provide all the funds, but just like an extra part of the funding to make sure things can be affordable. I staff the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, which advises council about policy and spending priorities. And Wayna Smith is on my committee, which is great to have her there. We plan for the future affordable housing needs in the community. And as we can, we work on developing city-owned land as appropriate for affordable housing. And then we work with other organizations in the community to educate folks and develop tools and systems to help people. So a lot of partnerships in the community. This is just a list of the funding strategies we have. We have a housing trust fund, a land use incentive grant program, the affordable housing bond, and city-owned property. And you're welcome to ask questions about that if you want to talk about that. In our last bond, the 2016 bond, which voters voted for $25 million for affordable housing, we supported around 776 units just with that funds. And it wasn't all the funds, but we spent some money on land as well. But we funded a range of affordability within that, with the vast majority of that going to folks at 60% area median income and below. And a lot of those, and some of those folks have vouchers, so that would even reach even deeper into income, lower income folks. And it's the lower the income of households, the more money it takes to make it affordable for them. So that's all I'll say for that at the moment. And we have just a couple examples of the projects we have. Yes, Ms. Alma.
I kind of want to go back up to when you said you could ask questions about city property.
Okay.
I'm looking at it from a standpoint of, land usage, and for the future expansion, and how is city property being utilized to build affordable housing, or is there city-owned property that it will be continued to be used for affordable housing building?
We, the city has been thinking about this for probably 15, 20 years. And we don't have a lot of projects that we've done, but there's a project that used to be the parks maintenance facility at the corner of Hilliard and Klingman. That is now an apartment building, and it has 34 affordable units out of the 86, I believe. There's 34 affordable apartments, and they're going to be affordable for 50 years. So that's an example of a project we supported both with land and funding. We have another project just adjacent to Maple Crest Apartments where we bought land from Duke Progress Energy, and we're still working on that. We have a developer out of Charlotte that we've been working with. And there's a couple other small examples. Honestly, with the reparations process, there's been a lot of discussions about city-owned land. And so we really haven't moved forward on anything else, over the last 2 years. We have a staff capacity issue. Honestly, we don't have enough staff to do all the things we'd love to do. And we want, to include the community in that. 8 years ago, there was a thought and a plan around utilizing the public works facilities south of Beaumont. So what people call the Taj Garage on South Charlotte Street, from there down towards Biltmore Avenue. And we did a lot of studies of that land, and we have a lot of good information, but we haven't had the funds to move those services. We would have to move public works before we could do anything there. And that's a huge lift. They need many more acres than they have today. And I know the Reparations Commission and the Housing IFA specifically, I went to a lot of their meetings. There's a lot of interest in that property because it's part of the greater East End Valley Street neighborhood. For better or for worse, nothing's moving fast there because we'd have to find a place to put those things first. But so those are just some examples. We have a few smaller lots around, but we don't have we don't honestly have a ton of land in terms of that's really super usable we do have some now. now that I said that, we do have a bigger parcel out in D Review area that we've purchased. And it's for affordable housing, but
Okay.
we're not currently developing that right now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Should I call on people or in Wayne?
Yeah, yes.
Go ahead, in Wayne.
Is it okay for me to ask questions?
Sure.
Okay. For the Works building, is there any way that maybe, the city could work out something with the county? Because I'm not seeing what the trouble could be to move some trucks and, supplies to a space that can hold those items for people to live. We have people who are living in the streets and people who are suffering, and just to have the supplies or something sit there. I know there's offices there, but we can move those people to, we put kids in trailers all the time, so we could move those people to trailers or something. But we need housing right now. We're very in a crisis, and
Right.
I'm not sure what reparations is doing. I haven't touched that, but.
It's really
I feel like
complicated.
that needs to be on some type of discussion of,
Right.
do we put humans before machines, or you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to
Right. It's super complicated. It's like every garbage truck, every stormwater truck, every, salt truck, all of the things. It's not just a few trucks. I mean, I know it seems, it's like they need like 20 acres, and it's very complicated and money, but yeah. Mr. Young. You're muted, I think.
I got a question of when you said about the funds that was supposed to be used for some of the housing projects. And we had did some flyers about 2 years ago for Hillcrest, Klondike, Diva View. And when it was time for those funds to be allocated, to be used for the community, one for Hillcrest for the community center for the youth, it was told that the funds was not available. So where's this?
Was that City of Asheville or was it the Housing Authority?
This housing. This is right before Miss Pierre joined housing.
Right.
And
That's
I do know that the funds are still there because the funds was there for Hillcrest when I was young. The funds have never been used. So how do we go about getting an account how much is there and what can be used for our community? Because Hillcrest still needs computers for their community center and stuff. I know Shallow need funds for their center. So who do we need to talk to about where the funds at, how much is in the account that can be utilized?
Well, the Housing Authority is a different organization. So we don't have anything, I don't have anything to do with their funds. I mean, it's an entirely separate organization than the City of Asheville.
Yeah, but it was City of Asheville funds for the community.
I see. I don't know anything about that. I'm sorry. I don't.
I'm talking about the community grants were for the communities, and none of that money was given out. I think the mayor and them said for the community to do this, do that, and they did it. But then when it was time to get the funds out to be utilized, nothing was given out. We was given a runaround.
So, Commissioner Young, just to be clear, you're saying that the city allotted funds to the Housing Authority to be given out to the community, and that never took place?
Yes, I think it was $1,000 funds that supposed to been given out from the city. It wasn't under housing, and it never did. It never happened. They had to get a housing board. Each development had to get a community board, which they did. They did all the protocol that they were supposed to do, but then it was time when the city supposed to gave them the $1,000 so they can get the stuff they needed. Nothing ever came out.
Okay. Sasha, is it possible for us to kind of like do a little bit of research to see,
Sure.
yeah, if we can just, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Mr. Mile? You're muted.
There, I hit the wrong button. I think I'm back alive again. In my years of experience with the city, and I think I've heard our city attorney, Brad, explain this in a previous meeting, separately and totally apart from city or county government. Is that correct?
I missed your question.
You kind of cut out for
Yeah.
a second there. Do you mean the housing authorities separate? Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
So the fact that the city or the county or anybody else would have given them any money would have probably come in the form of some local grant. And I'm not sure if that's what the gentleman was just asking. And I agree that some research needs to be done into this. But the core of my question was on a similar note. You mentioned earlier in your presentation about a 2016 bond referendum.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that was the city of Asheville.
Yes.
What was the total bond appropriated for that?
For housing, it was 25 million. There were two other ballot initiatives. One was for transportation, which was also 25 million, and there was one for parks and recreation, which was 25 million.
Okay. So the full 25 million was not earmarked for public housing. Is that correct?
No, I never said public housing. It's affordable housing.
Affordable housing. My apologies. My
Oh,
apologies.
it's okay.
Okay.
Yes, it was. I kind of cut it out because I was afraid of going too long. But basically 54% of that money went directly to housing units. Another larger chunk went to land banking, basically, for future affordable housing. And then there's also some funding that went to infrastructure and pre-development expenses for housing.
Is there any affordable housing funding left of that 2016 bond referendum?
No, not real. No, not at this time. No. I mean, we funded a lot of it. A lot of it went into the Housing Trust Fund and City Council. And I can go, when I'm done, if we have some time, I could go find those slides really quickly. But we funded 15 projects, like 776 units came out of that funding.
Okay, so basically then that money from 2016 has been expended through one form, manner, or another, and there is no money left of that bond referendum.
Correct.
Okay.
And I will keep going. So we have a couple examples here. I won't spend a lot of time here, but this is like an example project of, for rental housing that we funded. This is Amaranth Apartments. It's in Candler. It's near the Sandhill Road area, if you know that area. And it's a low-income housing tax credit project. So our funding is just one layer. These projects require a lot of money. So there's federal tax credits. I believe Buncombe County might have had money in this project, and then we had money in it. And they are serving, folks from very low, extremely low income to kind of moderate income. And so, like, for example, the rents range from $330 to $890 a month. And it's very close to schools. You can walk to a grocery store, the YMCA, etc. And I even have a video, but I'm going to hold off on that. Miss Alma?
Excuse me, I have a question about, because I'm looking at how much the rent starts from a range from $333 to $890. And, we're looking at the average rent is $1,400 a month. And the cost savings is $596 per month. How is maintenance of the property? Is that included in that $330 to $890, or
Yes.
is there a home HOA or some way to maintain the property in the
Right.
as
Well,
far
this-
as the yard, the grounds and things like that?
This is a rental complex, so those are the
Mhm.
rents that people pay, and that covers everything. It's because it's a low-income housing tax credit project. That's why it requires so much other outside funding, so that people don't have to pay for those things.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. But Salah will share this slideshow with you all, and you can watch the videos if you like. And then we also, another project.
Hi, my name is
I'm
Sharon.
going to keep going. Another project we funded, an example for home ownership is Asheville Buncombe Community Land Trust. They have rehabbed and a few homes and have homeowners in there, with the average price being $133,000 for those homes. Those homes are permanently affordable for, forever. So the land trust continues to own the land, but the homeowner has a 99-year lease, and you can even, their children can inherit those homes. It's an inheritable asset. They've been a really great partner. They also gave us a video. I'm going to keep going unless you tell me you really.
You go ahead.
Okay. So we partner with a lot of nonprofits and developers in the community, and some are from outside the community. The city, and this is not my division, but we also get federal funds, so CDBG, the Community Development Block Grants. Those can fund things like home repair. They also fund some of the nonprofits in our community, helping people who have housing issues, or, the home program. And that's a regional, we are the lead agency for, it's a 4-county region, but a lot of projects benefit from those. There's Home ARP. And then the Strategic Partnership Fund is a grant program that focuses on programs aimed at reducing the opportunity gap. So, and then I wanted to talk the next section just a bit about our affordable housing plan. We just went through a 1-year process working on this plan, and it has 5 goals. Promoting policies and resources to help existing residents stay here in Asheville, preserving existing affordable housing and improving housing quality, increasing the supply of housing that meets the diverse needs of current and future residents, aligning place-based policies and programs with related city initiatives, and broadening and strengthening our affordable housing ecosystem. So and then throughout this process and in the plan, we really have these cross-cutting priorities, prioritizing, incentivizing, or supporting efforts that meet the greatest need. We need affordable housing at all levels, but we know that if you meet the needs of the people who really need it the most, it really can help the whole ecosystem. It doesn't mean we only help one particular income group at all, but we definitely need to be focusing on lower income folks, and then protecting against displacement. For a number of years, we know it's been a concern in the community, and we really looked for a consultant that understood displacement and could help us with this. And there's different kinds of displacement, right? The kind that most people are familiar with is either like you're physically displaced by a road or a big project, or you're priced out, like either rents go up too high or your taxes went so high that you couldn't afford your home any longer.
Let me raise my hand.
Yes.
On the last slide, who is responsible for maintaining these 2 cross-cutting priorities?
Well,
is there a specific department or?
No, it's basically the idea here is that the strategies in the plan are for the most part, you can see these 2 priorities in all of our strategies. Does that make sense? I can talk a little bit more about that as I go forward to explain a little bit more, but definitely not just one department. We need to invest in people, and data has been a big issue. The Cease the Harm study came out while we were in this process, and we integrated some of those recommendations. This is a 10-year plan, but things are going to change over the next 10 years. So it is a living document, and we need to continually kind of make sure it's up to date and we're doing what we should be doing. So we released this plan just last week. It has 42 strategies. They're divided into like top priority, meaning we're going to start them in year one, starting now, short term, which means in the year 2 and 3, we will start those, medium term, and then long term. And we will be doing outreach more to let people know about the plan, and it's going to guide our work for the next 5 to 10 years. And so it has a whole, what we call a roadmap in the back. And it has like, this is just an image as an example. I don't expect anybody to try to read it, but we have strategies. We kind of indicate if we heard from the community specifically about that thing, if it's bond eligible, and then who can help us implement it. The city cannot do all these things by ourselves. There's just no way. I mean, so sometimes the county might be a partner, nonprofits, nonprofit developers or other developers, or other city departments. So for this year one, and there's other things we're gonna be doing, but our main focus is we are, continuing to support the construction of rental and for sale housing. We're exploring a centralized rental registry where low and moderate income people could go to find housing units, because it's hard to find rental apartments and pay all the fees. And so we've got a work group that's actually meeting already and working on this issue. We've heard from the community and from city council that they're really interested in home repair. So for homeowners, they're probably, often, not always, but often they're, older, they have a fixed income, and, they need help. They would like to stay in their homes, but, they need repairs to stay in their home and be safe. And then we're talking about what are some other things that we can be doing to help people from a systemic approach that aren't bond fundable. So bond funds, and I'm getting into the weeds here a little bit, but bond can only fund capital projects. So it has to be physical, long-term assets. So there are a lot of things it can't fund. So, education and outreach, this rental registry, are improving our data collection, improving that. None of those things can be funded with the bond dollars. So we are talking about other ways to fund those. And then we're also collaborating with Planning and Urban Design. They are working on changes to the UDO or the ordinance, city ordinances related to housing and anti-displacement. And I will, so on that note, the next thing that's happening is next Tuesday, there is a work session at City Council. It's in person, or it'll be streamed on YouTube as well. And there will be a presentation about the City Council priority of equitable and affordable housing and stability. And so we'll be talking about a lot of actually these things on this slide. It's both community and economic development talking about these things, and then planning talking about potential ordinance changes, and trying to weave it together to explain to council and the community, how does this all work together to improve housing in our community. And that's my presentation. So happy to talk more if you have specific questions. I know that was kind of high level, but.
Could you tell me again what date on the 9/24? Could you tell me again what that? Yes, there you are.
Sure, that's next Tuesday. Next Tuesday afternoon.
4:30. City Council chambers. Okay.
Mr. Harold?
Yes. I'm just going over the things that you said. It was going by so fast. I said, it's just like.
I'm sorry.
The wind just went by me, and I said, I don't understand a thing that was going on. But the thing that I want to ask is this. For a citizen to understand the new program on affordable housing, who is going to help the Ashevillean understand the law so they can use the system to their advantage? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for saying that. So it's not on this previous slide, but It is in our year one priorities to do education and outreach to the community. And that's exactly the kind of thing that we're thinking of. You know, there are other partners in our community working on that. The Realtors Association, they have an affordable housing committee, and they've been going out and talking with at different public housing developments and doing workshops. I think they've been doing, I think, on home ownership, but I think they're going to start talking about rental housing and helping people with that. Buncombe County does that as well. So I don't know exactly what to tell you exactly how we're going to do it, but we want to work with our partners to help people have a better understanding of how things work in our community.
Okay, moving on down the line. I appreciate that, but it needs to be, like I said, you know, some agency, you know, to get people to understand the inner workings of the law and how people can use it to their advantage, you know, that way they don't get displaced.
Right. And yes, there's definitely a role for Pisgah Legal, which helps with, you know, they have a homelessness prevention project where they're trying to make sure people don't get displaced as well.
Okay. And that affordable housing, is that so? Are they trying to design it so people can stay in their places longer than what the developers say they can stay in there? Because some of them, you know, it's like 10 years. You said something about somebody can stay in something 50 years. I don't know what that was.
Right. Yes. So we have, we fund units like you're talking about, and we have different agreements with each kind of building owner of how long that's going to be affordable. If we want to extend that period to be longer amount of time, usually we would have to put some money in the deal to make them whole, because when you accept lower rents, you know, you have to do all the maintenance like that Mrs. Alma was talking about. There's all these expenses. So it is a part of our plan to look at existing affordable housing and how do we preserve it. Should we be extending those agreements with developers or property owners? So yeah, we are thinking about it. You know, everything takes money, and that's the hard part, that the pie is only so big and we've got more needs than we have pie.
Because I know some of the developers, they say, you know, you can stay in that 10 years. After that, they boot you out the door.
Right.
That's not a good thing. 10 years go by just like that.
It's true.
Yeah. The other thing I was wanting to talk to you about was you mentioned 30,000, by 2050, the 30,000 new residents that will be here by then.
That's what we think.
That's what you're projecting. More than likely, it'll be more than that. Though. Everybody loves Asheville.
It's possible.
Yeah, I can tell every day they're coming here more and more. The other thing that really projected in my mind was this. I didn't understand it. Maybe you can tell me. I'm on the back end of this. You provide funds for developers? I was thinking developers had their own money.
They have some money, but they don't have all the money. It's kind of like if you rented you owned an apartment and you figured out how much it costs you and all the things, or maybe you built it and you're like, I need to rent this out for $1,000 a month. But for somebody that's not affordable, and you might say, well, I need $1,000 to cover my costs and make a little bit of profit, because I am in this business to make a profit. And they put a lot of risk on the line to build those units. And it's like if the city comes and says, if we give you X number of dollars, can you lower that rent for a certain amount of time? And I mean, it's how it's done nationwide, and it's, I know it's tempting to think that developers are just super greedy and taking all the money.
They are.
But they, it is a business, so
Mhm.
we cannot require them to provide affordable housing.
Didn't city council come up with an ordinance or something like that? I might have to get Brad in on this. About the average, say they have 10, 12 years or something like that for all new housing that's considered affordable. So it isn't, so they can stay there 3 years and then, boot them out.
I'm not sure what you're referencing.
Is there a time limit that developers have to keep people in these affordable houses? That's what I'm saying.
If they have an agreement with us, we sign lots of legal agreements, deed restrictions, or if we're giving them a loan, we have a deed of trust and a promissory note. But as in North Carolina, the city does not have the power to just require somebody to make their units affordable.
Okay.
We're kind of a property rights oriented state. So
Okay.
Well, Sasha, we thank you so much for coming and for speaking with us. We hope that if we have further questions, especially around policy and procedure, we hope that we can count on you to be able to come back and talk with us again, and we can move forward. I want to ask all commissioners, have you had your questions answered so that we can allow Sasha to go on about her evening and we can continue with our meeting? Well, if no other questions for Sasha, thank you so very much, and we appreciate all that you do for us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your interest.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
And just to let you all know, I emailed you a copy of the presentation or the link to the presentation. It's also in the folder with your documents for this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's a lot to have to absorb, so thank you. We would like to now, on the new business, go to a housing recommendation presentation and conversation. And Wayna, are you prepared to provide this for us this evening?
Madam Chair, yes, to start the conversation.
Yes. All right. You have less than 30 minutes to discuss.
Good evening, fellow commissioners. I just wanted to see if we could have a discussion around the critical housing crisis that we are having at Asheville. I work many hats in our community. I do a lot of advocating around housing. And I was speaking to a couple ladies who work at our school district, Asheville City School District, and she told me that a lot of new enrollments, a lot of the families were moving to Asheville, but they're living in their cars. Weather specialists are predicting that this winter is going to be extremely colder than it has been. And I just was trying to see if we could have a discussion about making a recommendation to City Council about being proactive about the housing crisis that's going on. I know Sasha gave us a great presentation about the affordable housing plan that's being proposed or has been created. And I spoke at the Affordable Housing Commission. I'm on that commission too, and I'm constantly advocating for affordable housing for our community. And I'm feeling like we need to do something. I'm not sure if people understand what people, I'm not sure if the bigger conglomerate of our government understands what many people are experiencing in our communities. Even me, you know, I'm working a job right now. I'm being paid more than I've ever been paid before. And I live in a subsidized housing, and they just keep raising the rent. You know, I had $126 left from my paycheck to last me for 14 days. And that wasn't enough to feed my children, you know, and I have a job. So what about the mommies or the families who don't have a job, or who may work at low paying jobs, or the homeless, or people who are living in the streets? I just feel like we need to be proactive, and I'm not sure of, you know, I'm new to this commission thing, so I'm not sure how we create recommendations. I'm gonna rely on my colleagues to help me, you know, understand that process. But I'm bringing to you today a discussion or how we can make a recommendation. I think we need to be proactive. We need more units. Sasha just told us that it's predicted by 2050, 30,000 new residents. And then Commissioner Harvey said it's got to be more. And Mr. Harvey, Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays, I've been seeing it downtown Asheville been popping. Even on lunchtime, I'm like, oh, all these people. So yes, I think it's going to be more than that. You know, Explore Asheville and all these different entities are advertising our mountains, and people are moving here, but people are moving here disappointed because it's not what people are being shown that it is. So I'm just asking for us to do something, and I'm not sure how that could go, but I'm just bringing it to the table today. Yes, Ms.
I
Alma.
appreciate you, Commissioner Nwina, about what what you've brought to the table, and I think it goes in line. For myself, I'm only speaking from what I understood from our presentation from Sasha, that a lot of what you're talking about is wanting to be addressed, but it's being addressed at a slow pace. I would like to know what the equitable and affordable housing stability strategies are going to be. So I would like to know what's going to happen, what they're going to speak to on September the 24th, and will it address specifically what you're talking about? I think that for myself, I'm throwing this out to the commission. I think that once we hear that, then we will need to come back and look at specific areas where equity, inclusion, that, you know, those things, and how are the things that they're looking at for stability, how are those things going to be written into policy? Because from what I heard, a lot of stuff is taking time. And even the 1-year plan that they have is still going to take time to implement. But if we have some idea about what the city's actual equitable and affordable housing stability is going to be and what it's going to look like, then I feel as a commission, we can address that on a more progressive mode. That's all I had to say. Nwina?
Ms. Alma, I also want to, you know, I think that we need an accountability type of situation also too, you know, I worked in a community, and a lot of the properties say that they accept Section 8 or their affordable affordable housing. But how do I say this? When I was advocating for my clients to get into certain properties, and they would use their Section 8 vouchers, they would be given such a so many challenges. So I just, those set asides that the developers are saying that they have, or the city has, paid for or paid towards. I just want some accountability for those units. I don't know, are there, I'm not sure to say, maybe go to the apartment, take a picture of the family, say, okay, let's make sure we match this Section 8 voucher. But I'm just saying, like, applying to a lot of these properties, that is not an easy process. And people, like Mr. Harvey was saying, navigating the process isn't easy either. So I'm just trying to figure out, how do we, work it so people who are in our community, the current residents in our community, have somewhere to live. There are a lot of people who do not have secure housing. And if the winter is coming, what are people gonna do, especially those people who have children? there's not enough shelters, there's not enough beds. And, I know a lot of the churches are taking on this process, but it's still not enough.
I have a clarifying question, Commissioner Smith. So I hear what you're saying. Is your proposal are you asking that something be done immediately, especially to address the winter, right? Because you're saying that there are individuals who are living in their cars. So is that where your recommendation is leaning towards, right? So we know that when it comes to affordable housing, again, as Commissioner or Chair Atkins said, it's going to be a process. It's going to take some time. But what I'm hearing from you is that like winter is coming. It is getting cold. There are families who are living in their cars. So are you looking to make a recommendation as to, is there an action that can be taken by City Council, right, to direct the city or staff to figure out a way to assist these families? Just trying to clarify.
Yes, because even like the McKinsey-Vento, with the school district, they have the McKinsey-Vento social workers. And, I've heard them say that some of that money has, is not available or it's been cut. So yes, I'm saying like we need to create a plan. I don't know if it's like more beds, some of the hotels that may be vacant, I know that's always shaky, turning some of the hotels into shelters. But yes, I'm asking for a plan to be created before winter, not start when it gets cold and everybody start being reactive. I'm asking us to be proactive about these families who are hurting and who are not housed. Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right, Commissioner Harvey.
Yes, this is Commissioner Harold. As far as speaking on that, Louina, Commissioner Smith, you have all these different organizations in Asheville. Are you talking about reaching out to them because their sole purpose when they get up in the morning is with the people that are homeless? Naming all the names of all of the organizations, it's more than a handful of people that are doing that each and every day. Are you talking about reaching out to them, or because they already have things structured, that they're going through, and it's just like believe the city. If Brad might jump in this, the city is in line with getting the motel together to get developers to get in there to clean that area up. Somebody's finally taking an interest in that. And that's I think 99 units down that way. But it's a point of getting people off the street. And then they're going to dib it up in the different sections, I believe. But that's up to the developers. I don't know whether Brad wanted to weigh in on that or not.
We'll hear from you right now, Brad.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that, commissioners. First and foremost, let me say that council members, and I don't want to speak for them, but I can safely say that they have adopted yet again this year a list of top priorities, 5 or so priorities that they have at the absolute top of the list of things that they want to focus on during this year. And one of those was yet again affordable housing. That's both the production of affordable housing and the retention of existing affordable housing. Both of those are really important. You heard Sasha, who is dedicated every day at her job to advancing some of those strategies. And the cities have multiple tools right now, which we've been using. We have our land use incentive grant, which we provide to developers to try to incentivize them to include and create new affordable housing. We also have our bond money, which you recently heard. We've finally been able to spend all of that. But at the next election, on the next ballot, there is going to be a referendum asking for the ability for the city to issue another $28 million bond for affordable housing. And if that's successful, if the voters pass that, the city will have that money to be able to use to create more affordable housing. With regard to the Ramada property, which is the hotel I think Commissioner Harvey was mentioning, that item's going to be on City Council's agenda next week. They have to vote on some approvals to be able to alter some of the legal conditions. But if they agree to do that, that will create approximately 100 new units that will be financed without any additional public money. 50 of those units will be reserved specifically for veterans of low income, and 50 units for people of low income that need affordable housing and are voucher holders. And when I say that, that is specifically reserved. That doesn't say that they're willing to take vouchers. It would be for those particular individuals. So that's another one of the aspects that the city is focusing on in the near future. And with regard to shelter space, you are right. As we move into the wintertime, we are turning our attention now to what we call Code Purple, which allows for additional shelter space to open up on freezing nights. Our focus is not only to continue that project, but to seek ways to open it up year round, so that we can have those additional beds open up for everyone that needs them on a yearly basis. And that is another item that City Council and city staff have been exploring.
Commissioner
Thank you, Brad.
Smith, Commissioner Smith. We can't hear you. Unmute.
Sorry, too many buttons. I was saying, thank you, Brad. Thank you for the explanation. Yes, Brad, yes, all that, right? But in community, when some of those lists and some of those waiting lists are long, yes, that's happening, right? But if you are a person who is homeless and you go to sign in or try to call an agency and try to get on those lists, sometimes those funds aren't available. If you hit it at a certain time of month, you might hit it at the beginning of the month when there's funds available, we could get some clients in. But about the 16th and 18th, some funds are done, and it's like, okay, you got to hit us next month or next time, and those families are still on the streets. So I'm just saying, like, I don't know what it is. But all I'm saying is there are families who are not being served, and there are families who are not providing being able to obtain resources because of a lot of budgets have been cut, and there's been limited resources provided to some nonprofits in the community or people who are providing these services to the unhoused or the underhoused. I'm just saying it has to be something.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner, I just want to commend you because you're absolutely right. We are catching up, and the problem is growing every day, regardless of how much we continue to try to chase those results. I really do encourage this particular commission to watch the work session that City Council is going to be having next week. Although we've got all these tools in place, this will be the first time that Council will be considering a comprehensive policy around affordable housing that will guide, if adopted, the city's efforts over the next few decades on how we begin addressing more and more of the problem of providing the affordable housing that we need for this community. Because, as you said, despite all of these efforts and all of these tools, there are people every day that are continuing to struggle with this issue, and we recognize it, and we want to continue to do more. And we're looking for those options, and we would welcome the feedback of this group about what the affordable housing plan looks like, so that we can continue to refine that and have the best product possible.
Brad, I was just getting ready to ask you, is this comprehensive policy something that we in the Human Relations Commission would be able to review and make questions towards that policy and confirming that policy before City Council makes its final decision?
I'm not exactly sure what the specific timeline on this is. City Council will not be voting to adopt it on Tuesday. This is just the first time that it'll be presented to them. And they're going to want to have a lot of engagement, not just with the public, but with boards and commissions such as you. So the answer is yes, and I would encourage you to do this because your input on these types of issues is exactly why this commission was set up.
Thank you.
And Chair Atkins,
Thank you.
we can get with Councilwoman Roney to discuss further as well.
Mhm. Thank you very much, Commissioner Nuena, for bringing that proposal or bringing that discussion to the commission. We appreciate that between the presentation from Sasha and what we've been discussing here. There are areas where we really, as a Human Relations Commission, need to keep our heads in a forward trajectory and make sure that we are looking at how policy and procedure around housing and affordable housing, and then how we treat homeless, houseless, and these are very much Human Relations Commission's important missions and commissions that we need to look at. But I also agree that it is going to take a step-by-step process. We have to know all the players that are a part of this procedure so that we're not overshooting ourselves or moving in a trajectory that we have to back up and start again. I'm liking that's why I'm putting down dates that council are meeting so that housing, I would suggest that you be there, and then us as individual commissioners attend these meetings so that we can hear, so that we will be able to come back and talk in a commission intelligently about the steps we need to take as we move forward to this, because I hear the urgency in your voice, but I also know that it's not going to happen overnight. And that's the realization of it. But we can continue to light the fire that says we won't rest until something is equitable for all that are in need of housing in Asheville. Any other comments? Commissioner Harvey, I see your hand.
Yes. Yes. Let's take a second. I just want to enlighten everybody that the council will be meeting, it's already been said, the 24th at 3 p.m. on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
You can't join in the meeting, but you can listen to everything that they're saying.
Thank you very much.
Just want to throw
Thank you
that
very
out.
much.
Mhm.
These two discussions was all that we had on the new business. Are there any other community announcements? This should be events and other engagements of interest to the Human Relations Commission. Yes, Commissioner Harvey, I see your hand. Yes. You need to unmute yourself.
There we go. Thank you.
Yes.
You asked about community events.
Yes.
Yes. Next week, Goombay is starting.
Yes.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Make sure you be there.
Yes.
Much fun, excitement, education, all the above.
That's correct.
I want
That
to
is
tell you.
correct. Commissioner Nwina, I see your hand.
Yes, Goombay, and then also the grand reopen of the YMI is on Thursday, September the 26th.
Oh, wow.
And then, yes, and that's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the YMI Culture Center. And then also too, tomorrow, September 20th starts the Beloved Community Center the Long March for Unity and Justice. I think the march begins at 4:30 at the Eddington Center, And then the rally starts at maybe 6:15 or 6:30 at the Waimai Culture Center tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I ask that you govern yourselves according to these events. If you can be there, please be there. And if we can't, please bring back information to the commission so that those of us that were unable to attend can still get the information. Are there any live public comments? I don't think so.
Sam will let us know in just a moment.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, if there are no other comments, then we're going to bring this meeting to adjournment. And let me say that I appreciate all that you do for the city of Asheville. And thank you so much for your time, your talent, and it's greatly appreciated.
Madam Chair, you're moving to adjourn the meeting?
Yes. Yes, I am moving that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Bye.
Thank you. All ayes have it, and we will consider this